It was storming pretty bad. The rain was coming down in sheets. I pulled into a parking lot at my synagogue. We're late. I told my 4-year-old, Jeremy, to get out and run to the door. Wait there and I'll bring your brother. So Jeremy got out and ran to the door. I climbed over the seat to get Andy, my 2-year-old, out of his car seat. And I grabbed my umbrella. I put him down and I held his hand. We took a few steps and it actually went through my head. Oh, well, this is stupid. My wedding ring was touching the shaft of the umbrella. And I remember thinking, just let go of the umbrella. But before I could even do that, there was a bolt of lightning touched the top of the umbrella and that was it. I was dead. But I didn't know it. I was still very conscious and very aware of everything going on. Jeremy and Andy were both screaming. Andy had his hands to his ears because it burst his eardrums and he was in a lot of pain. So Jeremy ran back out toward us and I was thinking, I'm so mad at him. I told him to stay at the building. What is he doing? And he ran over to us and he grabbed his brother and started pulling him to the building. And I'm like, this is weird. This is strange. But I followed them and we went into the lobby of the building. And there was a man walking by. He came over and he was trying to figure out what was going on. Why are they standing here screaming? My thought was, why is he ignoring me? Why is he talking to them and not to me? And then, like in the next second, I thought, where's my umbrella? So I looked out the window. Sure enough, there was my umbrella in the parking lot. I looked to the right, about 20 feet from the umbrella. I saw me on the ground. It was just so disorienting. I mean, you have to understand, when I say I was a skeptic before this happened to me, I never would have made fun of anyone to their face. But I definitely thought this was a bunch of BS. That can't happen. That is not reality. And yet here I was. I knew I was in the building and I saw myself out in the parking lot. I thought, oh no, I was wearing new shoes that had been very expensive. I could see myself in the parking lot and I saw that the soles of the shoes were burned off. Saw my feet sticking out. So I looked down in the lobby and the shoes were fine. They were perfect. They were on my feet, except I was floating about this high above the ground. I was not standing on the ground. As soon as I thought I want to go out there and look at myself, I was there looking down at myself. And I'm like willing myself to get up. I kept saying, get up, get up. You're ruining your outfit. You've already destroyed the shoes. Now get up. You're lying in a grease puddle. Then it just hit me suddenly. Oh, wait, I can't get up. I'm dead. I'm still completely conscious and aware. In fact, even more conscious and more aware than I was when my body was alive. Then this light appeared to my right and up a little bit. It was alive. This light had consciousness. It wanted me to follow it. So I thought, well, okay, I'll follow it and I'll see what this is. The light led me to this garden, and it's not a garden like anything here on earth. The plants were different. The flowers were blossoming, just exploding with color. It's so frustrating because the words just don't exist here. This overwhelming, unconditional love that existed there for me. I'm a mom. I have children. I love them unconditionally. But this was so different. It was so much bigger and stronger, more powerful and deeper. And I don't want to minimize how I feel about my own children, because I do feel that way about them, but this was different. And there was a bench and a voice told me to sit on the bench. It was the voice of my grandfather who who we had been at services, to hear his name read because he was dead. And I knew it was his voice. He had a heavy French accent. I mean, I know his voice. And he told me to sit down. And by golly, when your dead grandfather tells you to sit, you sit. This bench was very ornate. It looked hand-carved and polished, and it was all swirls, and it was gorgeous. And as soon as I sat down, it morphed around me, like it became whatever my body was. And he sat down next to me. I never did look at him. People ask me that all the time. What did he look like? And I did not turn and look at him because, number one, I didn't feel like I was supposed to. Number two, I was really afraid of what I would see. He's been dead for a year. I didn't want to look. He told me he was going to answer any questions I had, but he told it to me in my head. It was telepathic. The only time I heard his voice was when he told me to sit down. After that, it was just, the information was just fed into me. And it's almost like it was familiar, like I've been here before. There were 3 orbs in the sky. I'm going to call them violet color, but it wasn't really violet. And the way they were moving in proximity to each other, it was some sort of a calendar that was marking the passage of time. So why was I trying to mark the passage of time? I asked that, and it was explained to me that I would have to remember it in linear terms in order to decipher the information that I was given. And it turned out that it was in linear terms 2 weeks that I sat there and got this information. I was told that I could stay there if I wanted to, or I could choose to come back, and he was going to help me make that decision by answering any questions I had. He said, if you do decide to stay, you're going to follow this path to the mountains, and you will go over the mountains. And once you're over the mountains, you will stay. You can't go back. So I sat there asking questions and getting answers for 2 weeks. In the distance, I saw other people. I saw animals. All the people were paired up with someone else. I asked why, and he said, well, so are you. I mean, they can see you, and you're sitting here with me. And I said, they're all young. They're all like 18 years old. And at the time, I was 28. And I had chipped nail polish on my fingers, and I thought, oh, I probably have a burn on my hand from the lightning. So I looked at my hand. It was perfect. It was like I was 18. There was nothing. My nails looked perfect. There were no age spots, nothing. The skin was perfect. The odd thing was there was no wedding ring. And I didn't understand that. And he said, well, we can talk about that if you want. And I said, no, not yet. I had other questions that apparently were more pressing for me. He told me that if I came back, I was going to have a 3rd child, and it was going to be a girl. I wanted to know how he knew that. And he said, because she's already chosen you. She's already chosen you and your husband as her parents. When he said that, it was kind of like, well, gosh, then I better be there. And he said, no, it's not a big deal. If you're not there, she'll choose someone else. And that really made me like, no, if she picked me, then she's mine, and I want to meet her. He also told me that I would be getting a divorce, which was really strange because at that point we had been married for 8 years. We were fine. We were happy. There was no reason to think that we would be getting divorced. And in fact, we did get divorced, but it took another 9 years. I also thought, well, if we do get divorced, I want to be the one to raise the boys and this daughter, if I have a daughter. I decided I would come back. He said, okay, I have to let you know that there's going to be a lot of physical pain involved because, first of all, I have to get you back into your body. When you left your body, your soul expanded and it's much larger than the body. And I have to squeeze you back in and your body is burned. So there will be pain. He told me a couple of things about the future. He told me about the upcoming Super Bowl. I had never even watched a Super Bowl. He also told me that George H.W. Bush was going to win the election. Now, this was September and the election was in November. I was not a political person and I didn't care. So I said, why are you telling me these things? And he said, because when you get back, you're going to have a hard time remembering what we talked about and what you were told. When you see who wins that Super Bowl, or you see that George Bush is named president, it'll trigger your memories of being here. And I was like, okay, all right. So he helped me back into my body. He was like hugging me, like squeezing me. It was like bone-crushingly tight. And I opened my eyes and I'm lying in the rain in the parking lot. And I realized it had probably been, I don't know, 2 minutes, maybe. Yet I knew I had been somewhere for 2 weeks. And people were just starting to come outside to help me when I was in the garden. That was heaven. I don't know what was on the other side of the mountains, but I also understood that all the people that I saw there were not seeing a garden. Each one of them was seeing what their version of heaven was. That guy over there may have been an Olympic swimmer, and maybe he felt he was in a swimming pool. Maybe that one over there thought they were on a beach. We were all in the same place, heaven, but heaven was tailored to each one of us. It was very personal. So I was back and I was burned. I did not feel like I was the same person. And my husband definitely sensed that something was different. I had to spend several months in bed because my feet were so burned. So I slept a lot. As I was sleeping, I was having dreams. These dreams were very specific, and I remembered details. Not only did I remember the details, they were all bad dreams. They were nightmares of terrible events, tsunamis and earthquakes and plane crashes and horrible, horrible things. The first plane crash nightmare I had, I told my husband, I said, I saw this plane and it's crashed and it's in water. And I told him the flight number and I told him how many people are on the plane. And he was pretty freaked out. So I called my mom and I told her. And 2 days later, Mom called me and she was screaming, turn on the TV. And I turned it on. There it is.
Jay and Sarah, thank you very much. Jim Dolan has been following the recovery effort since Flight 800 crashed last night.
I had the flight number correct. I had the number of people on board correct. It was pretty unnerving for me. Why is the universe doing this to me? Am I supposed to try to stop it from happening? Am I supposed to call the FAA and say, hey, I'm just this mom in Houston and I think that plane's going to crash. And then if the plane crashes, they're going to be knocking on my door saying, what did you do to our plane? You know, it just didn't make sense to me. So in 97, my husband moved out. He could not take it anymore. Me waking up and talking about these horrible events, and I couldn't stop. They were so specific. Around the same time, I realized I could email myself these nightmares, and then I would have a date and time stamp of when I had this nightmare. I never thought anybody would look at these emails. It was strictly for my own sanity, because I kept thinking, well, maybe I had the nightmare after it happened. Maybe they were just reporting it again on the news. You know, I was trying to make excuses. So I did start emailing them to myself, and they were accurate. Not all of my nightmares happened. When I started writing my book with Jeff Kripal, Jeff is a dean at Rice. He had one of his grad students take all of my emailed nightmares and try to match them up to events that happened around that time. But not all of them happened. And he doesn't know, and I don't know, if they really didn't happen or they just weren't reported in the news. Like if a helicopter crashes in Taiwan, that's terrible, and maybe it's on the news there. But this grad student that was doing the research didn't find anything. So either it didn't happen or it wasn't reported that we saw. My feeling is that probably it was both.
What was the most shocking to you of all of them?
The most shocking to me was one that we did not put in the book. It is actually in my second book. I will not name the actual plane crash because there are surviving family members in the nightmare. I was on the plane that was crashing. That had never happened before. Previously, I just see like a snapshot of wreckage and I have information about it. Many times it's the actual photo that'll be on the news. There was an earthquake in San Francisco, the Oakland Bay Bridge, the top layer fell onto the bottom layer. The picture I saw in my nightmare was this police officer standing at the edge of the part that had broken, looking over the edge, and there was a red car dangling. And that's the exact picture that was on the news. But anyway, this really, really, really bad nightmare. I was on the plane and I was talking to another passenger. She told me her name. She introduced me to her child who was sitting next to her. It was like we were at a cocktail party, just making small talk. Suddenly, I knew that's it. It's gonna crash, and I need to open my eyes. Until I open my eyes, I'm on this plane, and she grabbed my arms and wouldn't let go. And until she let go, I couldn't wake up. And she was screaming for me to take her child with me. She knew I could leave, and she wanted me to take her child. She told me her husband's name, and she said, "Take my child and find the father. Please, please." Then there was this jolt. Then outside the plane, and I saw souls like rising from the wreckage. They were just floating up from the wreckage. It was so surreal. I sent myself the email with the woman's name, with her husband's name, with her child's name. I've never had detail like that. It was a foreign airline. I had the name of the airline. She had a foreign name, and I misspelled it by one letter. And my husband said, "What, you got names of people?" I said, yeah. And about 3 days later, they printed a manifest, a list of all the passengers. And her name and the child's name matched up to my email. That was terrible. I'm not having nearly as many as I used to. And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm talking about it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it took me a long time. I did not publicly discuss my NDE or the things that followed it for 27 years. I did not talk about it. Once I started talking about it, they kind of lessened the frequency.
What do you want people to get out of your experience?
First and foremost, the most important thing, consciousness survives death. Just because your body dies, you are not gone. You're still here. You still exist. To me, that was the biggest hurdle to understand. Where you go when your body dies, that is home. This is not. I mean, no offense, Alan. I'm not, no offense against you, but this is not fun. living on earth is not fun. This is really hard. And we all deserve credit for doing this. We agreed to do it, and we're here, and we're doing it. But that's home. During our lives, we can affect what our afterlife will be like, where we will go. Everyone there saw something different. What you're doing with your life here will determine what that looks like for you. It's so personalized and tailored to each person. What we do here matters a lot.
Oh, and no offense taken, by the way.
Oh, good.
I don't want to be here either.
Okay, good. It doesn't mean I want to die. I don't want to die. I just, I have no fear of death, but I do have fear of pain. So,
and
yeah.
I always equate this place with school. It's like nobody likes being in school, and you want to be on summer vacation. That's
right.
home. That's heaven.
Right.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.